I'd like to call this Central School Board meeting to order on July 22nd, 2024, with all school board members present. Please join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. We'll move on to A4, approval of the agenda. Is there any changes, questions, comments from board members?
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second. Motion by Lurkey, second by Erickson. Any other? Here's your time. All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Agenda is approved. We'll move on to A5, the consent agenda. Mr. Schockman, is there anything you want to highlight in here?
We have a lot of new personnel on the consent agenda. All of these were in direct correlation to a resignation. There are several site supervisors that you're seeing on here, and those are people from the field house that were part of the additions for the study sorter. So it says site supervisor behind them.
Any questions from board members? I'll move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion made by Isham, second by Lurkey. Any other conversations, questions? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Consent agenda is approved. We'll move on to A6, acceptance of gifts. The board wants to thank Laura Force for her generous donation of her grand piano to the elementary school. Is there anything else? All right.
Move to approve, yes.
Motion made by Smith, second by Krails. Any other conversations, questions? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Yes, approved. Moving on to the public forum. Is there anyone that wants to address the board? All right, we'll move on to the informational items. Superintendent Schockmer, you want to take, if there is any student council report or student rep, anything you want there? Okay.
We can just get down.
Okay.
So,
Superintendent.
I'm going to briefly say, as you can all see in the little demo that we had before the meeting, that we are starting to stream. I shouldn't stream, record our board meetings with the use of an owl. This will be the next day or later that evening, depending on how long it takes to Google to compress it and send it back to me. This will get uploaded to our YouTube channel with their directions on our webpage underneath the school board section, where any community members can go back and watch video and have it. I want to move on to update of construction. As you can see, there's a lot of things happening. There's still things happening tonight. So I'll kind of go in order. So phase 1 and phase 2, which was the elementary school and high school. We are still in the punch list phase. So there are still things getting cleaned up from phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 3, which is the field house, we opened up the field house about 3 weeks ago to patrons. The city put out something in their newsletter last week. We followed up with some Facebook posts and website posts, kind of a soft opening to make sure that things are running okay. It's not completely done yet. There's some locker rooms pieces that need to be painted and the floor in the locker room area needs it's going to get ground down, so like any excess paint or sheetrock materials and things like that ground down, then it's just a smooth concrete surface in the basement. Just a reminder to everyone that on August 12th at 4 o'clock, we're going to have a grand opening with City Council, like a ribbon kind of thing. So, sure, I should remind you as well, but that's prior to our August. Moving on to phase 4, which is the middle school. That is coming along. I was just down there today. Paint is going on the walls, and if you can think about when paint was going on the walls last fall, like July 22nd, it's great. So the I'm welcome to have anyone walk down with me and take a quick look through. We did have a couple of, there was a couple of snafus, which is what we have issues for. There was some things on the roof that, were unforeseen when we take some things off. So after 40 years, there's extra material that's not needed and some that's, where it should be, there isn't. So we had a call for that. With the building inspector on the exterior wall, we wanted us to take out some insulation and add it for our value. So we did that. And the 40 people, if you go down there, you'll see the entire hallway down to the middle school has like a skim coat, like a self-leveling concrete, because there was a lot of, fancy word, undulation on the floor. So that way the new carpet will really smoothly and be really nice for it. So, but like I said, paint is one on the wall, all the sheet rock is up, doors, most of the doors are installed, garage doors are being put up. The ceiling grids in the common space is done. They're starting to work on the classrooms now. We are coming along to be done on time for next week. So they're excited about that.
Thank you. Good news. What is the schedule before workshop week, correct?
Yep, so we will be done before workshop week, but our furniture delivery is set to happen during workshop.
Okay.
So that is we have a lot of furniture coming in, and teachers are gonna be getting their rooms ready, and the moving company 5 Star out of Winston is gonna be bringing things in. So I do actually, they haven't given us the donation yet, but Acre, who's a company that supplied all the furniture, Steelcase, which is one of the vendors that we use, donated a significant amount of furniture for the field house. Well, I'm not going to give a dollar amount yet, but it's in the tens of thousands of dollars. So
Excellent.
thank you for that. So once it gets here, I address it with the donations. Oh yeah, we already. Yeah, so we ordered that furniture for like Marchish is when we ordered the classroom furniture. And here's the deal: there are all the schools across the nation are trying to get furniture delivery. So sometimes it might be the week prior, sometimes it's the week of. Last year it was early because we weren't done. So it's gonna be a hectic first week, but that's okay.
It's higher than even what we did last year.
Exactly.
Okay. Anything else for Superintendent Shockner? Any questions from board members? All right, hearing none, we can move into board reports. Does anybody have anything?
We officially have a new superintendent at 288. So Jeff Horton is our new superintendent. We met early one morning and approved his contract at 7 o'clock in the morning. And he's really excited about the position. He's been in it now for like 3.5 weeks. Been doing a lot of talking with the staff and just trying to work on like morale, since that really was damaged kind of towards the end of the last superintendent's term. And he's been sending out weekly updates on kind of just what's going on, what he's learned, and encouraging feedback. So far, it just seems to be a really refreshing change. Yeah.
Any questions, Emily? Okay, any other board reports? Kyle, you want to jump into the finance?
Talk about the finance report. That's attached, as it is every month. So this is the last month for FY24. So there's a couple things I want to highlight. Overall, revenue wise, we're about 96% of what we expected in the budget. Even though the year is behind us, there's still going to be some transactions or some accruals that we'll still make. And we are expecting a favorable financial adjustment to be made when the audit occurs. In addition to also receiving some funds from state of Minnesota, I believe. So we're able to, once we know those dollar amounts, we're able to kind of retro those back into this fiscal year. So we should be pretty close to the budgeted number. On the expense side, they're still trickling in for the year. Transportation, utilities, some summer school expenses up until June 30th all have not come in yet, but we're not expecting very large dollars. So that 95% of the budget, may swing. It may go up maybe 1% or so, but that's probably going to be the most that we will receive. So we should be under budget from an expense standpoint for the fiscal year. So audit report goes to, or I should say the financials go to the auditors next month, I believe, is when they kick that off. So we'll find those results back, grab those results back in October, November timeframe. The other thing I want to highlight is our promise to the voters. You'll see on the chart there that the pie graphs that all of the promises, the levy promises to the voters have met the spend. And what I want to mention is that this is much different than what it looked like last month, as Amy and the finance staff did a lot of year-end adjustments to kind of get everything in the right buckets. There was some expenses from an operational standpoint, which we apply against the levy, versus some construction expenses that took a little bit of time for them to differentiate. And then we had some carryover funds from the prior year. So we overall, I think we did a pretty decent job with the budget this year, and should have at least in line with expectations.
Thank you, Kyle. Any questions for the finance committee? Anything else from the board? Okay, hearing none, we'll move into D, discussion items. Ms. Erickson.
D1, School Board 2024-25 meeting outline.
Okay, so if you recall, last year we held a work study session to talk about the organizational structure, year-long, just kind of outlook of the board. And I have attached that here for your review. So basically I rolled some things forward, and obviously this is like a 10,000 foot view. Many of the things that are on here, we are required by law to either discuss or take action on. Obviously, anything can come to the board as needed, that isn't necessarily on here. But just from a big organizational standpoint, I don't want to talk at you, but I'm just going to go through January through December. And if there's something else that may be on your mind, like, hey, where's this? Or, hey, we haven't talked about this, let's add this in. The board can discuss that, and then I have the master document step in. So January is our first organizational meeting. This year, we would be swearing in new board members. Even if you're an assistant board member and get reelected, you still do the swearing in at that time. And that's also the time where we can reset some of the things we're actually doing tonight. So some of the fees, what a board member makes, like our law, our legal firm, like there's just a myriad of things that have to be done in the organization to be January by law. Typically in January, that's when we start budgeting, and there is a resolution that is done every year for the possible reduction of licensed positions. It doesn't mean that it will happen, but it's a formality that happens in January. In February, we would have, actually, you know what? I'm going to take this back. I'm going to go from September down, because to me, that's like the beginning of the school year. Are you okay with that? Okay. So September, starting the school year, we would approve the preliminary levy for the following school year. That is required by law. And then Joe and Andrew Colstead would come and kind of give the curriculum and activities update as things are kicking off the school year. In October, we would be getting, at that time, we would have our results from the MCAs and our local assessments, and we would go over our vision card and standards that were set by the school board. And it's kind of like our, how did we do academically, and this is the percent revenue, our open enrollment trends, like all of that stuff. I think there's nine indicators on our vision card. And then I would have the principals and department leaders come and give their preliminary goals to the board, talk about what they're going to be working on in the buildings or their departments for the year. In November, that's like Kyle just said, that is when we would have our auditor come typically, and we would get a first draft of this in our cadence right now. We would look at a first draft of 2026, 2027 calendar, and then set like the conference dates and everything for next year's calendar, or yeah, for the following year calendar. So, and on an election year, which this year is, we have to canvass the results, I think, within 7 days. We're going to the election judge training on next Tuesday, so I will let you know when exactly it has to be. We'll have to canvass the results in a certain amount of time after the election this year. And Becca would probably give some highlights for student services. December, this meeting is different. It's not the fourth Monday, it's the third Monday. It's the truth and taxation meeting that's required by law. And then we will finalize the levy. So the preliminary one that's due in September, we finalize that levy in December, and then we would have a final draft of the 26-27 calendar. So that way that's done, so that a new board doesn't have to tackle that. And then elementary school, it would come and do highlights. Then going to January, we have our organizational meeting, reduction of licensed positions resolution. February, highlights from community ed. That's about when we would try to get our revised budget, and we would set some budget parameters and talk about that as a board for the upcoming school year as we're looking at staffing and everything for the following school year. March is a little bit later. There will be highlights for secondary. April, legislative updates, depending on, actually this will be a big year because it's funding year. So typically I give legislative updates. We would look at the parent survey if we want to add, revise anything on that survey, highlights from activities, May, discussion about the next. So this is typically when you see the first draft of the fiscal year 2026 budget. This is where you do the Iowa resolution. That's putting me in charge. That gives me access to the MDE reports. There's the Minnesota State High School League resolution that we have to do every year. Andrea will come back and give highlights of curriculum. Here's what we're planning on doing. Here's what we've done. There's a census certification, if you remember doing that. And then I talked to my team, and I think by the end of May, we would have results on their goals. And so the team would come back, and Ron, Rich, Becca, and Sue would come back and give the results for their goals. In June, we are required by law to pass this budget by June 30th. And then I would also give the results of the parent survey, because we tried to send that out right as school was ending. Like right after, either right before school gets done and right as it's ending, I would compile that data for you. In July, which is the meeting we're in, we'd have a second organizational meeting, set lunch prices, all that good stuff that we're going to do tonight, set superintendent and board goals, and then by law, we have to have an LTFM plan to every advisor their first push. That's kind of the outline of the school year. Yep. Oh, so thank you, Josh. And then August, going full circle, 2 years ago, I think it was 2 years ago, we tried to stay off of workshop week for the board meeting, and so we moved workshop week, or excuse me, the board meeting to the second week in August. I think last year was the first year we did it. And sometimes, a lot of successful. So I just have that set here. But then we would, that would be handbooks for just each school, the activity, student activities, and community education. August is very important.
That's the handbooks for the school upcoming year, like this fall.
Yeah. So my principals are working on them right now. I have drafts here by the end of this week. And again, and, you know, things that come up, policies always come up, like if there's, like this year, we looked at the facilities rental agreement. I mean, there's always things that come up, but those aren't necessarily, they're more periodic, they're not required.
In the July one as a holder, do you want to put something about the notice of election for new board members? It'll be every other year. You might want to just have that as a placeholder.
Yeah.
Remember to do that. Anything that people want to change or alter in here, or? So a lot of it is dependent on what needs to be done, when it needs to be done, but. Actually, I really liked having us keep with this similar
After not having had that
Mhm.
previous years, it was nice to have it. And, filtering in the different leaders, like Rich and Ron, and having them speak at different times, I think is nice too, so they get more. It was too much when they were all jumbled together, so.
And the same direction I'm giving them is, this isn't like Facebook stuff. This is something more obscure that is happening in the building, not something that we just read about last week. You know, they're not gonna come here and talk about AAA.
see a lot of head shaking.
Yeah.
Is there anything
Looks
looks
good to
good?
me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even as is, if anything comes up, we can talk about it and put it on, but this has been nice when we've worked on the agenda
Agendas, yeah.
creation, yeah.
So I added what I said, notice of election, election notice to July.
Perfect, yeah. It might be nice just to hold that as a placeholder.
Okay.
Okay.
C, D2, superintendent and school board goal development and superintendent evaluation.
So, if you look at the superintendent resource guide, let me back that up. If you look at the first, document, sorry, I lost myself here. The evaluation, we looked at, budget development and maintenance, facilities management and construction, human resources management, and teaching and learning / staff development. So those are the 4 goals, for this current school year. In that same document, or in that same area, there is the MSBA superintendent, evaluation resource guide. It is very long, but you may be asking yourself, well, where did we get those one for us? Where do we get that language? If you go into the meat of this, there are literally 150 potential goals that you could offer to a superintendent. And I think my work is your work and vice versa. So I think I don't know if anyone's thought about what the focus should be for this coming school year. That should end up being my focus, but we have a month to kind of look at it. So it may be something that you want to review. Shelby is going to take the lead. I will send out the evaluation notices, and then you'll send them back to Shelby, and then she'll compile them and set a meeting with myself, Josh, and Sarah Eichens. But then when we talk about that, you would set the goal, you could give her feedback or Shelby feedback, and then that team would say, okay, we're going to look at these areas for goals for you for next year. Or as we talk about it in next month's meeting, because after the evaluation is done, it would come to a meeting for approval, for consideration of approval, like, hey, we accept this evaluation from the superintendent, and then you could set the following year's goals, right? But that's kind of been the process.
Do you recall on that, I'm trying to remember what was all on that, evaluation sheet? Was there a place that we could go through the evaluation and then put independently suggested goals in there to consider for the upcoming school year?
I don't think there has been in the past, but we could include it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no reason we can't. We had quite the discussion about it at the meeting last.
So,
We could use it as a starting place to kind of gather some of that.
I
And then
have
with
access to this, so literally I could make a third page before I share that out with you that just says potential goal ideas, and then you can just write them in or scan them, or you can just
And then we
exit
can
and.
have a big
highlight it and send it to
conversation.
Shelby and-
with that stream, kind of help get all our thoughts together and then kind of address it when we review the evaluation and talk about these are some common things that we saw as suggested goals. And let's look through those areas and find which ones we want to pick, and we can have all that conversation here.
This could potentially be a nice pivot here too, with the construction wrap. Really, that's been a huge.
Great. So I thank you. And I think what Sarah was saying about like in there's something that says human resources management. So if it's like one of the larger buckets, and then we could pick something more specific afterwards, because I mean, they get pretty detailed.
Yeah.
Very technical.
And we could link that document that the MFPA evaluation tool with all of them in there that people could kind of pull ideas from, and so we'd have that conversation as a big group looking at the goals. Is 2 weeks too quick of a timeline to turn that around?
Well, the work is starting. I mean, I was kind of, as I was doing the finance report, we're shifting over to 25, 20, or 24, 25. So, I think sooner.
So we can send that out in the next couple days.
Yeah, oh yeah.
The board can work on it, and then we can bring it back in August.
Yeah.
Does that work? I see a lot of head shaking again. Nobody wants to talk because we have this new owl.
I think for me anyway, it's about setting a date, like a goal, right? And then just getting it done. Like the longer out we set it, the longer it's gonna take me to complete. So if we, you know what I mean?
Turn and burn on that.
I don't know how
Put your
everyone
ideas
else
in
feels
and
about that, but yeah.
You want it in your inbox soon.
Yeah.
And then Shelby, let's connect and look at a time that you think would be enough time to review the results, okay? To put it together. So you give us all a deadline, like I need your evaluations back by this date. Yeah, with some goal ideas, and then we can have enough time for you to turn
I
around
would
too.
say that I would like them back by the 8th.
I'll put that in.
Okay, perfect.
That gives you a couple days to get it, and then it gives people a week.
Mhm. Yeah, it's just typically you have 4 weeks, but because it's August, it's just. Yeah.
That's always the plan? Okay, all right. Moving on to operational items.
E, operational items, E1, consideration of annual long-term facilities maintenance plan.
Okay, so this is really technical. It's, and I want to be completely honest with you. This is required by law, and it can completely change next month if something comes up. So the strategy that we have is some of our LTFM is bond. So we don't get our full allotment. I think the amount that we get is like $140,000 for the next 6 years, and then we'll get some more as some of those bonds are paid off that we put more money into the start of the project. A lot of our LTFM is going to be eaten up by indoor air quality requirements. So like making sure our air filters are done, the preventative maintenance on our chillers and our air handlers and our furnaces and things like that is just done. And hopefully we have a lot of new things around here that are under warranty that was kind of the thought process behind bonding some of that. So when you look at this, I don't want you to think we are set in stone in these specific areas. If we had a major catastrophe happen tomorrow, we can borrow ahead on our LTFM. We can change the categories that they're in. They just need a plan of what you are thinking about doing, and then I have to turn it to the state of this. So, I don't want to say it's a formality, but it is kind of a formality. But because we have all new roofs or nearly all new roofs, we're not going to be doing a lot in roof.
That was one question I had with the roof, it shows 2025 on here.
Yeah.
That because it's going to go into next year.
Yep, so this is by fiscal year.
Okay.
yep, so like right now, we are using some of LTFM for some of the roofing project that is happening as we speak, which is now because it's after July 1. It's all done by fiscal year.
Any questions? Move to approve LTFM plan.
Second.
Motion made by Erickson, second by Smith. Any other conversations or questions?
Did you say Erickson Smith?
Yep. Take a slow down.
No, you're good.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? LTFM plan approved. E2.
2024-25 board organizational meeting, July of 2024.
Good. Okay, we'll go to, July 2024. So what you see in front of you are, a whole bunch of items. The way, we have organized this is anything in yellow has been a change. So for example, right on the very first page, December 16th is the new third Monday of December. The Sun Patriot, because the News and Times is now defunct, Sun Patriot has been added in since last year as our official newspaper, because we have to have one. The meet and confer dates that I put in there are the new updated dates that I typically do with CEA. Anything in green needs to have a decision made or not yet, or it can stay. So for example, right now is an opportunity to change board pay per meeting. We can change our sub pay. What you see here is what we are recommending. But anything, well, let's just start there. So on the first page, these are our banks. We aren't recommending changing any of our banks. We aren't recommending changing Lynn or Amy as the depositors or anything like that. We are recommending keeping it at, I am recommending keeping the board pay at 65, the sub pay at 125. That's what we have budgeted for. If you go to the second page where it has lunch prices, this, you can make it more than this if you'd like to, but this is the minimum set by the USDA. And another update may come out that we are required to raise the prices again. And again, you may be like, why are we setting meal prices? Well, if somebody gets a second meal or an adult gets a meal, there has to be a set price. So this is what the minimum amounts are as set by the USDA. And so that's what we're recommending. If we get to the fee schedule, so here's where I think some discussion may want to happen. So we've moved to the Wright County Conference, and I have data. I'm ready with data if people have questions. So we are recommending going to 7 and 5 for adults and kid ticket prices. That is every single Wright County Conference team is the same minus Hutchinson. They are 6 and 4, but every other team is 7 and 5. We were at 6 and 4. Okay. So we are recommending aligning with essentially the entire Wright County Conference. Last year we said that students in grades 9 through 12 get in free. We're still recommending that. Preschool students free with an adult. Golden age passes free to few persons age 65 or older. Where we saw a little bit of, we think we are out of line with our activity passes. Remember, just bringing you back to last year, I think we were in Cologne. We had this huge discussion, and we did some sort of math problem that said, hey, here's how many events people can go to. And if they go to 70% of them, this is what it costs. And we kind of did it in a math way. We have looked at the data from the Wright County Conference, and we are about $40 more than the next closest school in terms of an activities pass. Our recommendation is to drop the single adult activities pass down to 80, because the way it was whether you were 3 or 300, you paid $120. We are recommending differentiating out between an adult activity pass or a student activity and a student activity pass. And if you wanted to go to a family activity pass, I've looked at it and I can tell you what most of the Wright County, actually a lot of people don't have family passes, but if they do, they're in the $220 to $250 range for a family. Which if you wanted to go that direction, that's what I would recommend that you go around there. I'm gonna stop there. And Joe put together, so I have results from last year's activities, like what our revenue and expenses were.
Did it, when we increased them, did you see a big change in, I mean, the goal was to kind of meet up with expenses.
Yeah, so thank you, Connor, for asking that question. So last year, our total expenditures were $564,000. This year, our expenditures were $561,000. So we decreased expenditures by $3,000. Our revenues came in at 105,074 from last year. And our revenues this year were at 130, I'm gonna round up a little bit, 138, 137,800. So here's the number that I think is the most important. Last year, our revenues accounted for 18.63% of costs. And this year, they accounted for 24.53. So we increased our percentage covered by our revenues by 7%, let's say. Specifically, some other items. The family max, 18 families hit the family max, because remember, we also put in a $700 family max. This is some weird way to word it, and I don't know, that cost us, you know what I mean? So it cost us because we're not collecting the revenue from the registration fee, $6,325.
Do you have the information of what was the family max prior to that increase of?
400.
And do you know how many families that impacted?
I don't have that data.
Okay, that was just,
I can probably get that.
that was just one thing, but yeah, no problem.
I have participants by sport. And actually what's interesting is our revenues went up by $32,000. Yes, we increased our fees, but we also let in all of our kids free. Our revenues went up and we weren't collecting from any of our kids, our high school kids.
Are you combining right now, like, what it pays to be in a sport and the admissions and passes? Is this all lumped
So
together?
fees, that is all lumped together. So,
Okay.
but I have it differentiated. So our fees went up $21,000. Our fees went from, and so I'm just comparing the last 2 years, our fees went from $50,000 to $71,000. Our admissions stayed the same. So it was 46.2 and 45.9. So we got flat admissions, but yet we let all these other people in, all the kids in free. And there's this donations other. So I want to look at that in a 3-year span. So last year our donations were $8,600. This year they were $21,000. So there's a significant increase. But the previous year they were $26,000. So like it seems to me like last year was the anomaly of donations going down. This is, I can't tell you what it looked like 4 years ago.
And these are donations from like boosters and stuff like that?
Boosters,
Community.
citizens.
Sure.
It could be Lions Club, it could be anything.
Do you have this number of sales of students year over year?
The K grade student.
What's that?
The K grade student.
Yeah, the ones that had to pay $5.
activity passes,
Or $4 back then.
I don't, but I can find, I know I can get that for you. I don't have it. I just have the total number. She didn't differentiate it for me.
Cause I think one thought was maybe, depending on how this went,
Yeah,
expanding that age range for student IDs,
yeah, we could. It's, that.
lowering it, I guess.
Mhm. I will tell you this, we sold only 39 activity passes. That was a significant.
And
No, that was because we went from this family pass and student, like you could get all levels of passes 2 years ago. And we just said, a pass is a pass is a pass, it's $120. I'm shooting from the hip here a little bit, but we had over 100 activity passes sold between all of them the previous year. Part of our rationale we're recommending to you of lowering the activity pass amount or recommending a $225, $250 per family pass is to help alleviate some of the lines at the door too. Like if you have an activity pass, you're just walking in. Like it could help with just, if more people are buying it, if we lower the price and more people are buying it, yeah, our gates maybe go down a little bit, but just the whole operation feels better at the gate.
So the single activity, the proposed is dropping the K through 8 $70 year over year.
Yep. And
And it was-
dropping the single adult $40 year over year.
And they'll be ahead after attending 10 games.
That's our recommendation.
we may sell more passes too.
We need to sell more passes for the
And let
gate
it
official.
easier flow through the door.
Yep, that's what we're hoping for.
That's 120, divided by $7 a adult, that's 17, over 17 games they have to attend if they're wanting to make it worthwhile.
I would like to see a family pass on there too. There's enough families that have,
Multiple.
I agree.
So let me, bear with me for just a second here. Sorry.
So the question is the single activity pass too high. Because really, that's like, if you look at the single adult,
that's what
that's
we're
the,
getting rid of.
Yeah, we would get rid, so what our recommendation would be get rid of that green and then do the 80 and 50.
Okay, yeah.
Here, I can tell you by school. Family individual cap, hold on, give me a second here. Where is this? Oh, take it, let's go, yeah, it's the little tab. So I'm gonna go by school. Annandale, $60 for a single, $100 for a couple, no family. Oh, excuse me, actually, Annandale, $25 for a student, $60 for a single, $100 for a couple, no family. Dassel. I mean, to be honest with you, I do not know how they're making this work. $30 for a student, $50 for an adult activity, no family. New London Spicer, 50 student, 70 adult, 150 family. GSL, 45 student, 80 adult, no family. Rockford, 33 student, 85 adult, 242 family. Watertown, 60 for student, 90 for adult, 250 for family. Litchfield, 50 and 70, no adult or no family. Howard Lake, 50 for students, 70 for adult, 200 for family. NYA, 120 for person. Mount Westonka does not do passes. Delano, 45, 75, 200, and they limit that a family pass can only be 2 adults and 2 students. Holy Family, no passes. Hutch, 25, 75, no family. Jordan, 45, 90, 225 for family. Southwest Christian, no passes.
Do you know if many of these,
And these are old,
these are old, so I was just gonna ask you, how many people are sitting around the table having these conversations?
all of them,
I know.
all of them this month. This is, the data that I have is the most current data. that I have.
Mhm.
But I know that this was a topic of discussion last year, and I just, now that we've seen it. So I will also say, the revenues that we receive from Gates, that is straight. Like, we did not pay anything out for counting, very little for counting cap, like that is actual revenue. Or as close to actual revenue as we can get. So,
What was the average family, like
So-
220?
150, 242, 250, 200. 225, 220. And the anomaly is New London Spicer at 150, like that is low. So when we were recommending 225 to 250, the numbers we were looking at 242, 250, 200, 225, 245 was kind of the numbers we were looking at to be in line with others that have a family pass.
I think we should, this is my just real quick thought here after this is if you go lower, like let's say you do 200 for a family, then I think you have to set a cap on it, like 2 adults, 2 kids. But if you go higher, then there's no cap, which feels better. I don't know. I'm just thinking about some of our families that have high school kids that are gonna get into an event for free, and then maybe they've got 2 or 3 elementary kids and 2 parents. That's like $310 if you divide it all up. So even if you do 250 and you have it unlimited, that's gonna catch most of them.
The different, we are the only ones that let our kids in.
And I don't wanna change that.
And I stand by that.
Yeah, I love that because,
Our gyms will pack.
yes,
It's awesome.
mhm,
I think,
something to do.
the decision we made last year, I think it kind of hindered younger families, I think. So I think something with a family pass in some way, shape or form will help that. 230, 240, no cap. I don't know.
And then maybe, I mean, I don't know how the, principals and everyone feels about that have to be here during the games monitoring children, but adding 7th and 8th graders or middle schoolers or something onto that.
Good.
I would agree. I mean, we talked about middle school on up. To me, if you're in middle school, you should be able to handle it here. And we do have, not like they're running wild. If they are, we have somebody here that's getting paid to take care of that, you know.
Can I offer a recommendation if we're gonna go down? I would say the Minnesota State High School League eligible students are 7th grade and up. So I would say, if, to me, that makes sense.
Mhm.
Seventh, Minnesota State High School eligible students are free. That's 7th through 12th grade.
To follow that, then you get something to follow.
I think that's fair, because that's when they can start playing sports.
Okay. So.
Then I guess I would say no cap then on the family
Mhm.
pass, because if your 7th through 12th graders are already getting in free.
That's what I was
You
thinking,
know,
and do the
if you
higher
have
family
4
pass.
kids in elementary, fine, whatever, you know, like.
Exactly.
The more the merrier.
So are we thinking do all 3, single adult, K-8 student, or K-6 student? If you have a
K6
K-6 student, $50, and then family pass to,
225, 240.
And we're already, I mean, if we do, then you had to do the 2 singles, and if you had 210, if you had 1 kid, 2 adults, you had 210.
well, this, doing all of them allows you, it's kind of like a la carte. It allows you to pick
Yeah.
what's best for your family.
Mhm.
But I'm just saying, if you have to have at least 3 in your family. That would for K through 6, the 2 adults, you're at 210 already.
Yeah, to make a bet, yeah. So that was part of the issue before, because our family pass was cheaper than 2 adult passes.
Mhm.
So I would say if you're at 210 already, like you were just saying, then it maybe should be in the 240, 250 range.
This is all done on that online, like, right? So once somebody would purchase whatever pass they're purchasing, we don't do anything with it, right? They select what they want and they pay.
Yep.
So it's no more or less work for any, I mean, we could have like 7 different things and you choose which is best for you. It's not creating any more work for us, right? You see,
I know what you're saying. I believe how you're describing that is correct.
so, yeah, do a single adult, do a K through 6, do a whatever family, do a couple pass for all. I mean, if it's just a matter of listing it on the website and then they click which one they want,
So let's
give
say
people options. I
two
guess.
parents with two K through 6, that's $260. So the 250 would be a
Mhm.
You
A
say
savings for
Mhm.
sure.
let's do
240.
250. Yeah, 250.
something like that, 250.
Okay.
Because the other, we're matching it up with these other schools that are also looking at theirs right now. They're probably raising them. So if we just keep catching up every year, we're never gonna be,
So, so
You know.
keep single adult,
I don't know.
keep change K6 student. Single adult, and then add family for 250.
I'll start.
Yep.
See what we,
With
see
no
what we
cap on
accomplish.
family.
With no cap,
No
No
cap.
cap.
it's just a family.
That's
And just let them all apart what fits their family best. Because I will say, like, the $80 for a single adult, if you have a kid in basketball, like, that's a deal.
That's a deal. Yeah.
Do you, the Golden Age Pass, I think we talked about this last year, was that in the community only?
It's
District?
in the community only, yes.
So do we want to have a 65 plus pass for all, like a grandparent pass for all the,
For all other.
yeah,
We want, we can.
Senior pass?
Senior pass?
Yeah.
That doesn't live in the
but
district?
yeah. I mean, I,
What is?
Or we can just set a ticket price. Adults 7, students 5, seniors.
Let's just play the reality of this
Yeah.
out, okay? Are we asking seniors to show us their driver's license when they come to the door?
No. If they have a senior pass, if they have a golden age pass, we're like, we are not questioning that.
If,
We're talking,
if a grandparent wants one and they don't live in the district,
And they ask
What
for
do we do
one,
with
we
that?
would provide it for them. We would not ask them for like,
Okay.
it's,
so are we potentially creating a problem here that we wouldn't necessarily, do you know what
but
I'm
I
saying?
wouldn't say it's a
people, if they don't
problem.
live in the district, are they gonna know what a Golden Age Pass is?
So like grandma and grandpa from Shakopee,
Yeah, that come to like.
how are
their
they gonna know about the
grandkids'
Golden
games.
Age pass?
I know.
From their
their family.
family.
I know for a fact my mom got online.
Yeah.
To research it and called and was like, I want to buy that.
Yeah.
And nobody questioned her on it.
It's,
And I said to her, that's only supposed to be in the district. And she's like, well, nobody said anything. And I was like, well, that's kind of good faith, really.
and and again, we want our stands full. It's,
So we don't need to have a residence rule, just 65 and older kid in, or
But what do we wanna have, so we're playing Howard Lake and seniors come. Do all the Howard Lake, they have their apparel on, they're coming to watch Howard Lake kids.
yeah, right.
Then we have to have a
That's what
senior,
we're reading about.
right? 'Cause that's-
students/seniors.
A lot of gray area.
$5.
Right, like,
Yeah, I like that.
I think so.
Okay, adult, 7.
We could be here next year at this time having the same
I was
conversation.
just thinking that, like, if you had a pass, you know, because we've talked a lot about like, okay, having cash at the door, because like some of the seniors don't like doing this online thing, like if we could get the grandparents to just buy a pass once and here you're good for the year, it might alleviate some of that, like, I don't know how to do this, here, can you just take my cash? That's where my head was going.
Or would there just be some at the checkout that they could just, when they come, just hand them a.
Yeah, I don't know.
Something.
But they,
Yeah,
but they still gotta go, every game, they gotta, seniors still have to go on and get for that game, correct?
No, we've changed that.
Okay.
So it's,
You can pay with a
you can
card.
pay with the card now. There's a,
Yeah. But if they have a pass, let's say you still have to go in and get that. You know,
For
so,
each
so if you buy a family pass, you still gotta go into that game to get your ticket. Did it help
I
much?
don't even know. I think you.
I thought you still had to go in. So if you buy the single adult,
Oh, go into Vanco and like pay with
every,
your pass?
no, you just gotta go in there and get your, that way you go to the door. Here's my-
well, I thought the pass was the same for everything that you had,
I thought it was just like a,
like
You
a
don't have the
QR code.
card?
It's a card. I think it's a card. I don't wanna say, I don't know. I
You
should
know
know.
what? We're not, I think all season pass people were always just on there.
So this is your name or something.
it.
If you come to the door, it's,
No, everybody had to scan their QR code.
Yeah.
that's what I thought.
On their phone or something.
Yeah, so they had to scan it.
Either they had a paper ticket with that code, or it was loaded on their phone.
Yeah.
And they had to show that, and then the ticket taker had their iPad to
Mhm.
scan,
Okay.
to scan.
Or
So,
a pass.
right, in order for them to get through the doors.
They had to show something, yeah.
But if you had a season pass, it's the same QR code, but you still had to get scanned every time to get in.
In theory, you could print out that QR code
Yes.
and just keep it in your wallet, like laminated, you know, scan something.
I'm probably overthinking it.
Here's what I have so far. Family 250, K6, K6 student 50, single adult 80, adult ticket 7, senior / students 5. Get rid of the single activity.
Sounds good to me.
One thing, Tim,
Yeah,
so when we talked about this last year, expenses were, they kept climbing.
Yeah.
Right? Revenue now, we're trying to, this is a multi-year plan to try to, close that gap. a little bit. So how are expenses looking like in the budget for 24, 25?
so if you recall, last year, one of the goals of the board was to unhook coaches' salaries from during negotiations. I can say that now. We were successful in that. So we did negotiate a 2% raise on that salary schedule when we did the settlement, but it's 2% on like the lowest number. So we are anticipating our expenses to go up by about 2%, but part of that settlement also was a working group with CEA. So our first meeting is going to be in October, and so we're going to be looking at where our salaries line up compared to the rest of the Wright County Conference, and that we will setting new coaches' salaries. Everyone that's currently here will be grandfathered in to their current rate, but anyone new coming in will be at a new low rate. I suspect that we are going to have significant change in our middle school coaches' salaries. We are very high there with our comp. So so to directly answer your question, I see expenses holding steady. And then as coaches retire, resign, move on, our expenses actually go down as we bring on different coaches. Because the market will be reset with our last negotiation. Does that answer your question?
Were we fine with the $700 family max?
Okay, so we haven't gotten there yet, but that is the other, so that when we were, where is that? Okay, so, hold that thought.
Oh, I thought we.
So, yeah, so hold that thought for a second. So, we also are gonna give, we're also saying that, and this isn't a change, that, by an activity pass, you still have to pay to get into prom and homecoming and some of those events, the plays and things like that. That an activity pass doesn't get you in those. Some community ed will give out some free activity passes. So we have a long-term volunteer. Sometimes we'll give out a single adult activity pass as part of payment through community ed. That's not a change. So now here are the actual fees. So if you remember, we raised fees from 120 to 175 last year, and our revenue increased significantly. We are recommending that we stay at 175 for this coming school year, and clarifying that for these 5 sports, boys soccer, girls soccer, wrestling, golf, and gymnastics, if you are in that sport, you are paying the varsity amount because there only is varsity. We are also recommending that we add girls hockey. We have one student that is co-opting with Waconia right now. And we eventually are going to get a bill from Waconia, and we have no mechanism right now to charge that student any activity fees, and girls hockey would align with this, with the 175 range.
So can you tell me just a little bit about that? So gymnastics and girls hockey
Yeah.
will be co-op at different there's some other things that are co-ops here.
Yeah.
What if their prices are significantly lower in their home district or significantly higher?
Doesn't
In the home
matter.
district.
We would have them follow ours, and that's
And
part
then
of
we
our,
pay the difference?
that's part of our cost.
Okay.
And that's the way it's always been.
Okay.
And sometimes they're getting the deal and sometimes they're not.
So wouldn't that be fair to put it per co-op district? That way the fees, so they ever get hosed and we're not getting.
Okay, so the bill we get from the co-op district is always going to be more than what we are collecting in fees, because we will pay a portion of it. Not only do we pay the participant fee, but we pay a portion of the coach, we pay a portion of the rest, we pay a portion of the, there's a prorated amount. There's no way. If the goal was to break even, I suspect that for the 2 kids that go to gymnastics, the 1 kid that goes to hockey, we would have to charge them $600-700 for break even. This is part of the whole, like, it is very unlikely we're gonna get to break even in activities. There's gonna be some costs. I would argue that this is just some of those costs.
Unless it's by, could you say per participation registration fee of host district?
Good. We can do whatever we want. Our,
I'm only
I would
speaking
say
from
our-
experience of one can be a little more spendy than.
they can, I think, we are saying they are central students and you are gonna pay a central price.
Because we're not offering that sport.
We're not offering a sport. If we don't, like, I wanna be clear, the co-op host is doing us a favor,
Yeah.
big time. And we are the co-op host for girls soccer. We are doing Mayor Lutheran, unless you're very, a huge favor by being the co-op host for girls soccer. My recommendation is to not overthink it, it's just. add it.
That's fine. That's what I would ask.
But I want to be clear. There could be some grumbling about why is my 7th grader paying a varsity price? There is no JV,
Cause they wanna play varsity.
there is no JV soccer. They're on the varsity team with their on. And to me, that is, they could win all state.
And they will pay what they are planning,
To,
right?
I mean,
Correct yourself, there's no middle school.
I was just-
It's not, I said JV.
It's middle
There's
school.
no middle school, thank you, I apologize. There's no middle school wrestling, there's no middle school golf. Middle school soccer, middle school, yeah, and eventually, if there is, then we would charge them the middle school rate. And here's the, not the rub, but like, I will tell you, last year for sure, I don't wanna do that. I'll get rid of that.
Undo.
I don't know.
There's that arrow in the top left, back.
This one?
Oh, right. Yeah, right there.
Thank you, Hunter. Frank's
Done it
heard it.
before.
Not gonna have, so we cross country, so there was some specific incidents in cross country last year. Student starts off middle school, becomes one of the best runners, halfway through the year is like a top person. We're not going back and collecting fees for this kid. Whatever they, like, but if that same student is the #1 cross country runner and is starting the year on varsity, they will pay a varsity fee.
Whenever they register.
Whatever they are registered, is that
Yeah.
makes sense? But we're not gonna, but if somebody gets moved up halfway
Yeah.
through the year.
Yeah.
We're not, you joined, thank you.
Right.
We love that you're participating. Okay.
Sounds good.
Middle school fees, we're recommending staying the same. Other activities, we're recommending staying the same. None of this is a change from last year. Now, Connor, to your point, Family Max. This could be, we set the Family Max at this. The data is that 18 families met the Family Max. It cost us $6,300. I have that data. If we were gonna move the Family Max, I wouldn't lower the Family Max. I would probably raise it to 720, 730.
I'm guessing that cost decreased. If it was $400, since there's
The
less
net gain-
families at,
The net gain was, yes, yes. or leave it, our recommendation is leave it the same.
I guess I don't know. I haven't heard it.
We talked about keeping it at 4 varsity sports last year. So if the individual varsity sport raises, then we should raise the family medals.
And we're recommending keeping it all the same.
It's fine by me.
Okay. These are just all of our auxiliary pay items. There really isn't this is what we're recommending. This is the same, this is not a raise. This is our scorekeepers, our announcers, all of our everything. There is one change though. We need a libero tracker. It's $50 for volleyball. Am I saying that right?
I have one of those in my house.
Yeah, a libero.
Not a libero.
Well, you could do a libero tracker.
No.
There we go.
I do have a question though. Can
Yes.
NHS kids do these things for free and get their hours? Like their
I don't see
community
why not.
service hours?
I don't see why not. I mean, if it's
I
by the
think you gotta
NHS.
be careful of the event. Personally, I wouldn't want,
Well, pay them.
I wouldn't want high school kids running, the scoreboard for varsity.
For us.
Yeah. Okay.
So we just gotta be careful, what kind of job we're asking.
Like are you saying where it says student worker wrestling A and B games down there?
Yeah,
Like some of
so-
those maybe?
Like we have some student workers that do like our middle school basketball games that run the scoreboard, even our JV games. Like when there's one, not JV, B squad or C squad games, when there's one
Oh,
in
yeah,
the
you're right.
gym
I know.
and one in the auxiliary gym. Like they're in the auxiliary gym, there's generally students for the scoreboard. I would agree with Kyle in the sense that I wouldn't recommend having a student. If it was their dream to be and they were trained, we would consider it overtime. But yeah. Is that a hedge?
Yeah, it was just a thought with, I mean, you add all that up over the year and.
Adult, so, I mean, this, you can look at, this is in your, it's in your report packet, but, the one thing, so officials, I do need to put a caveat, and it says it on there, it says, and, umpires and referees negotiable. Like sometimes, even though we set a price, sometimes the service set the price for us. Like, and we don't have like the Wright County Conference says, you can get referees from this place, and they may charge $65. It doesn't matter if we say we're only paying $55, we have to pay $65. That makes sense. Ticket takers, bus chaperone. and I think
Yeah, is that per ticket taker?
That's per ticket taker. We cannot get ticket takers.
So that
NHS
this year,
there.
That
That would be,
I was
an appropriate job.
I did scoreboard for middle school when I was in high school. I never used it for NHS hours, but I like the idea of it. So yeah, whatever rules we need to say, contingent only on non-varsity games or something like that. Other than you just need Joe Clay or whatever principal, their signature.
And I would say, as long as the NHS person, the advisor said, yep, this applies, and Joe signed off, we wouldn't have a problem.
So that would be an NHS thing that they would be okay with them using these hours. Okay.
so ticket takers would be up, that's one per booth, per station.
Sometimes
That's
two.
2 now.
Well, other than this year, generally we had to, so we for sure will have to at most events. So our expenses may go up a little bit for that. All right. So I just want everything staying the same except for family pass at $250, K6 pass at $50, single adult at $80, adult $7 admission, student seniors $5 admission.
To approve.
I have one thing. I like the progress we've made compared to last year. One thing I want to bring up is to the top of the page. Just reflecting on the amount of cuts we've had to do due to declining enrollment and the impact it's made through K through 12 on students and the teachers we've had to let go. I think that should also be reflected at a board level. I am proposing to eliminate board member compensation.
I think by law you have to be paid.
I don't know if that's the case. I can do some.
We had to make it cuts throughout the whole school. At least there should be some reflection also at the board level. That's my
Our
opinion.
cuts were not made due to declining enrollment, though. Our cuts were made.
Because of the COVID.
To
funds.
right,
Right.
Okay. Well, wasn't it declining enrollment from 2019 post to now?
Both of you are correct.
I guess I kind of view the position differently, I guess, but
When was the last time that we made a change to it?
2020
Okay,
went from
do you remember
50 to
what it
65.
was? Okay. I feel that there should probably be some kind of compensation, especially when we're looking at opening up for potential new board members. Because we have an election year coming up, so I don't know if now would, what I'm trying to say is I don't know if now would be the right time, would this be something that new? Because 4 of us potentially could change, so is this something that we want to bring back in January when we have a new election complete?
I think that would be a good, good time, so that way they could decide if they're going. And to be honest, when I applied for it and found out, you know, at a meeting, I'm like, well, we get paid, I didn't know we get paid to do this, so it doesn't
Same
matter to
here.
me either way.
right.
Same
But
here, yeah.
I would say.
It's not about, nobody does it for the money, but yeah, I'm wondering.
For the money, you're not making any money on it. So, but yeah, I would say for the next incoming, I mean, that's a good idea.
Because
But like
we do
I
this twice, right? Like we would bring it back in January, which might be a nice time.
Like I said, it sounds like most of us didn't know that we were gonna get paid, so it shouldn't be much of an impact if we got rid of it too. So that's,
This is not legal advice. We can literally just Google it. And so what I'm finding mostly.
Well, that
is
gives you a
there's
little time to guess
There's
that
a cap, there's a
information.
cap on what you can do. So I know it used to be $8,000 was the maximum board member could make, and now it's 20,000. And I want to be clear, I know that was raised because there were board members that were subbing because of sub shortages in some districts. And so they could only sub X amount of days before they hit the cap because they're school board members. So that's the intent of that, not that school board member makes
Yeah.
$20,000 a year. No, no board member or school district employee shall receive compensation or benefits based on incentives. Like, here's what I would recommend.
Would
I
it be
recommend-
better to hold it so we can do some digging, talk to MSBA about it, maybe find out what,
I would want to say, what I heard somebody say is you have to take some compensation. I would like to find
I
out
wanna make
what
sure
you
we
actually have to do.
take.
And I can bring it back as soon as next month, or we can wait until January when a new board is here. I think you should find out what you are required before you just do that.
Get the info for next month, and then we have more time to deal with it. Say we go to January and decide in January with the new option for the new, board members.
well, yeah, if you could say, let's say if you could do it and consider it a non-paid volunteer, throw in a free activity pass like we have listed in here, just a different version of it. But
You could, I mean, that could be an option. That could be the conversation. Let me email Terry tomorrow.
yeah, that's my
And
Terry.
let me see what he says, and then I will bring this back to you next month. Fair?
That sound good?
So so next month, you're gonna see whatever this thing is called, 24-25 board organizational meeting on the agenda in August, again, the exact same thing. My recommendation is that we move forward with the changes that I had already outlined, and then you can do it again next month.
So we should approve it tonight as we discussed with changes, but then we can do it again.
Yeah.
If we want to make.
Because I've got people buying, like,
Yeah.
between now and then, sports will start getting all that stuff, so that way, and then your compensation, other than one for 1 month, if you decide to get rid of it, it's $65, so. I don't know.
Either way, it's required to do it in January, so we have to redo that anyway.
You tell me what you want me to do in terms of when I should.
So we approve, it's gonna be brought up at next meeting.
That's what I'm saying, we can approve it tonight. And then I can have it again tomorrow, and then you can just make them, like Hunter, if you wanted to make a motion and say, I wanna amend this, we pay, let's say you can do it, we'll pay from $65 a meeting to $0, then you would need a gather a second, and then there would be a.
Oh, this will be via email, not on the agenda.
No,
No,
I would put it on
it'd be
the
part of
agenda.
Oh,
it'd be
I would
part
put it
of
on the agenda,
Got
so then we would just do the same song and dance again, but just for that one item.
so you're just gonna make the revisions for what we discussed, but then we'll make a final approval next meeting. Got it.
Yes, but this allows me to like load in the student activity, the fees and everything between now and.
Well, will you have? The fees, more than likely from what I'm hearing from board, won't change, like our student, because you're gonna have kids register for fall activities.
Now. Yep.
Yeah.
It's gonna open up. probably.
Open.
But I'm also open.
But can we just open up this one item,
Yeah, you could.
the rate of pay, you know what I'm talking about, so you're not gonna hold it.
But I would call the whole, I would call it board organizational meeting or board organizational items.
Okay.
But we would just be looking at the one thing. Is that okay?
It is, I just didn't wanna, you to hold off and not have anything.
No, that's why I was saying, I would very much like you to approve the changes that, like the whole hit and rule and the changes that we discussed tonight, so that way I can move forward. And then I will bring back the rate of pay for school board members next month with more information.
Is there any other information you would like us to gather for that? Do you wanna know what other districts are doing for board compensation around us? Would that be beneficial
I think,
information?
did we talk about that at one point?
Yeah, I think we've talked about it, and I think we are considerably lower.
Yeah.
Than those of us
I mean, we can
around.
gather some of that data too if we want. I don't know.
See if anyone else has any change.
It wouldn't hurt to have it if we do end up waiting till January, just for those.
Then those people would have that
potential
too.
new people.
I would wait till January.
Well, isn't,
I think.
we got two organizational now, well, we have got a January one and a July organizational meeting, so you make decisions at each of them, but yeah. No, yeah, Tim, I think that's a good idea.
So bring it back next month or wait till?
Bring it back
January?
next month, yeah. What
Okay.
the,
I can do that. Try to look at it and stuff with the meeting now.
So then, in an effort to keep this thing rolling, I am gonna make a motion to approve 24-25 board organizational meeting with the changes we discussed to the passes and the efficient fees.
second,
Motion made by Lurky, second by Smith. Did you get all that, Tim? Okay, any other conversations? All right, hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. E3.
E3, notice of election for school board members.
All right, we have 4 seats up. So here's the notice for election. This has already been put in the paper. So the filing period for any persons that are interested in running for school board is July 30th through August 13th. And, we do not have a primary. So I am literally going to, election judge training next month, but I believe there's a form that you fill out. I think it's $2. You sign it. As I did it, I scan it and I send it to Carter County. They are the ones running our elections. And these are four year terms. So I believe it's Sarah, Kyle, Sarah, and Shelby are the 4 that are up. And just for transparency, I added, this is the ad proof that went in to the paper. So that is what was in the news the Sun Patriot. So I guess what we're looking for is approval or consideration of approval that you're gonna hold an election.
move to approve notice of election for school board members.
Second.
Motion made by Smith, second by Krails. Any other conversation, questions? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. Our next school board meeting will be August 12th. Remember, there's a ribbon cutting with the city at 4 at the Raider Fieldhouse, and then our meeting will take place here at 6. Anything else from board members? Hearing none, I'll move to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Isham, second by Lurky. Last chance, right? All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Stay back. Oh yeah, I'm getting better at this. I like sitting over here though. Just watch.
End recording.